In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the pH value. So remember, pH values are to help determine if something is an acid or a base. So in looking at calculations, there are a few formulas that we will need. So you can pause this video and write these formulas down so that you have them. But just quickly talking about the videos, when you see something in brackets like these brackets here, that just simply means concentration. And remember, the most common concentration, or the two types of concentrations are expressed, is molarity and molality. The most common that we will use is molarity, which is capital M. So if you see something in brackets, that just means that it's concentration. And then you would look of, is it a concentration of an acid or a base? And we'll talk about that in a second. So to find the concentration of H+, which really just means for an acid. So to find the concentration of an acid, you would take 10 and raise it to the negative pH value. So if I had a pH, let's say, of 4, I would want to know, to find the concentration of that acid, I would just do, I would just do 10 to the negative 4th to give me the concentration of that acid. Same thing with, if this will erase, same thing with OH. This is concentration, and OH dissociates into a base. So this just simply means, what is the concentration of a base? You would do the same thing, but instead of pH, it would be POH. Okay, so in finding, that's how to find the concentration of that. In finding what the pH is, or the POH, this is the formula you would use. So to find pH, it's just negative log of the concentration of H. Now it's log base 10, but that's understood, so you don't have to worry about writing that. Same thing for POH. If you wanted to find that, it'd be negative log of the concentration of OH. And if you're given one and you want to go to the other, then this last formula will be helpful. pH plus POH equals 14. That's for where the pH scale to 14 comes in hand. So taking these formulas, we're going to do an example so you can see what it looks like in the process. So in this first example, it says determine the pH value of the following solutions. So in example 1, we have 1 times 10 to the negative 3rd, capital M, remember that's a concentration, that is molarity, of HCl. So the first thing you want to do is first decide if we are dealing with a concentration of an acid or a concentration of a base. Now how I know that is if I have just H in there, it would dissociate into an acid. If I have OH ions in there, it would dissociate into a base. So this solution dissociates just into H plus and Cl minus, so this would be an acid. And just go ahead looking at the next one, this NaOH would dissociate into Na ions and OH minus ions, which would indicate that this is a base. So going back to example 1, I know that we have an acid now, and it's giving us the concentration. So if it helps you, just rewrite this as this, because we know that this is the same thing as H plus concentration. Okay, so to find pH, we know that the formula is pH equals negative log of the concentration of H plus. Well, we just found out that H plus is this. It's just written in a different way. So from here, it's plug and chug. So negative log of, in concentration, it's this. We have 1 times 10 to the negative 3rd, and you would plug that into your calculator. Make sure that you are able to get this in your calculator. Watch those parentheses. Make sure you're in the exponent here, and then you get back out of it once you type that in. So when you type in negative log of 1 times 10 to the negative 3rd, you should get 3 as your answer. So the pH for this first example is 3.0. All right, the next example, we've already said is a base. So we're going to have to do this a little differently, and there's a couple of different ways you could do this, because if you look back at the examples, we have several different formulas. So you can kind of pick the way you want to go. Because I see that this is a base and it's giving me the concentration, I'm going to go ahead and find pOH first, because I know that pOH is negative log of the concentration of OH. And just like we did at the first example, if this means concentration and this is a base, then this problem can be rewritten by 1 times 10 to the negative fourth is the concentration of OH minus. So that's why I'm going to choose to calculate pOH first. So I'm going to plug this into the equation. It would be negative log of the concentration of what it is, 1 times 10 to the negative fourth. So that tells me that pOH is 4 if I calculate that. Then I also know if I look at our equations, I'm given pOH and I want pH, which this equation has both in there. So we are going to use pH plus pOH equals 14. Well, if I know that pOH was 4, and I'm trying to find pH, and that together equals 14, well then that means that this would have to be 10. So the answer for this problem is the pH equals 10. And that is how you calculate pH problems.